Hey, I want to talk to us a little bit about sociology and worldview. This comes from a lesson I taught at the Northern California Theology Conference in Rio Linda in June of 2023. And of course, I just had 45 minutes to an hour there. Probably do several sessions here on this. It's a very vital subject. So what is sociology? Sociology is viewing your group versus others, or man's interaction with community or his fellow man. Man's interaction of society, sociology, his interaction with community and others, his fellow man. So this is sociology. Now I want to go into a scriptural sociology because the Bible talks enormously about the Christian and how we're to interact with other Christians and how we're supposed to interact with the world as well. So let's go to John 13, verses 34 and 35. And this is the first scriptural look we'll look at with man in community. Now you go back to Genesis 1, 2, and 3. Go back to Cain and Abel. That didn't go over well. Cain's ostracization and the building of cities and the difference between Cain's line and Abel's line, Genesis chapter 5, and then man in his relationship with fellow man and God, with culminating with Noah and the flood, and then even after the flood there at Babel, about 101 to 111 years after the flood, according to most chronologies. But let's go to John chapter 13, verses 34 and 45. And this is Jesus. This is sociology in the Bible. A new commandment I give unto you, that you love one another, as I have loved you, that you also love one another. So God is love, 1 John 4, 7, and 8. 1 Corinthians 13 tells the characteristics of love, especially verses 4 through 8 in 1 Corinthians 13. Then you study the life of Jesus, and you're like, as Jesus treated others, he was kind to people, did all of these things, he occasionally rebuked people, then this is how we are to interact with other people. And then it goes on in verse 35, by this shall all men know that you're my disciples, if you have love one to another. And I do think the church many times has adventures in missing the point. We tend to think if we have miracles, signs, and wonders, and the most erudite preachers, and the best technology, and pyrotechnics, and purple walls, and blue lights behind us, and a streamlined service, this is how we win the world. And even prayer, which obviously we should do. I think those others are just ancillary things by and large, cultural things. But how everybody recognizes the true church, doctrine doesn't matter, obviously, is that you have love one to another. Now, in 1 John, 2 John, 3 John, we see true love is having correct doctrine towards people. Because an incorrect doctrine will lead to hell. Straight is the gate, narrow is the way that leads to eternal life. Few there be that find it. Broad is the way, that's where the term Broadway comes from. Great is the gate that leads to death, and many there be that enter thereat. They asked Jesus, are there few that be saved? He's like, yes, strive to enter in at the straight gate, because many are going to try and not be able. And so the identifying mark, and I appreciated Francis Schaeffer for actually pointing this out. Obviously Jesus pointed it out, but I'm glad he called it the identifying mark of a true Christian community is having love to, as my friend F.R. Reed used to say, to, he's passed away now, which is a preposition. It's an action towards each other. So love one toward another, having your hearts knit with love, as it says in Colossians. So that's the very first sociological platform we'll look at, man's relationship, let's say the church's relationship with itself, because sociology is known by in-group, out-group behavior. How does the group deal with itself, and how does it deal with those outwardly? And this is, some would have definitions of cult, and they define the definition of the cult. So you can paint anybody in the definition of a cult. And then the rejoinder can paint them into the definition of cult. And then it's power structures as, Foucault, Derrida, and I can't think of the guy's name that I really like. He's very famous. But power structures, then what becomes the definitive mean. But have love one to another. So we're going to pick up here with some more scriptures, God willing, in lesson 2 on sociology and worldview, because it's unlike anything else. And like the scriptures I just read in John 13, unlike anything else anywhere in the world. So God bless you. We love you. See you later. Bye-bye.